Hello everyone, it's Mark Shalero, the owner of MS Classic Cars. Today, I'm presenting you the most influential and significant vehicle ever offered from the MS Classic Cars collection. I'm sitting behind the wheel of a 1966 Shelby Group 2 Mustang that is truly a legend. This is one of the rarest Shelby Mustangs ever built. As documented in the SAAC Shelby Registry, this vehicle was originally built for Shelby American driver Ken Miles. Unfortunately, Ken never had the chance to drive the car, but it went to a great home. It was purchased new and raced by legendary driver John Mccomb. This car helped Ford claim the Trans Am Championship in 1966. It's showtime. To start off this presentation, I'd first like to say this is a non-rehearsed video. There's going to be a lot of information that I do forget to mention throughout the presentation, so please visit our website at msclassiccars.com for a complete description. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. It is an extremely important car. It has a wonderful story, and you really need to understand the entire deal. So again, please reference our website for all of those details. If you have or have not been following MS Classic Cars, please note that I only collect number 1 and number 2 condition vehicles. We've been doing that since inception. We are proud to say that we are the only classic car dealership in the country who services every vehicle that we sell. We document the work with an invoice, regardless of who did the restoration, whether it's a factory correct car, whether it's a custom car. All of these cars need to be shaken down, and that's exactly what we do. Every vehicle that I sell, I include this brand new binder here. I put everything in plastic sleeves. Right in the front, always first and foremost, is the service invoice, which we have on this particular vehicle here today. It clearly documents all the parts, all the labor that was spent on this vehicle, which totaled $4,086.58. You can reference this again in our photo gallery, so make sure to check that out. When the vehicles are done being completely serviced, we bring them here, we do extensive detail work, we start from the bottom, work our way to the top. When the vehicles are done being detailed, we present over 150 photos of every square inch of the vehicle to be as transparent as possible and know exactly what you're getting. Once the vehicles go live, I personally answer the phone calls, the emails, etc. You can talk to me about anything regarding the car. Once the car sells, I'm the one who also orchestrates all the paperwork and so forth. It's a very smooth process. When it comes time for the shipping, I also will assist in setting up the enclosed shipping. When the vehicle goes inside the enclosed trailer, we do cover it with plastic so it arrives as clean as it left our dealership. So do your homework on MS Classic Cars and just make sure if you have any questions whatsoever to please give me a call. To start off this presentation here, This is a vehicle that I really had to spend a lot of time putting together my thoughts and my ideas. I have literally done hundreds and hundreds of vehicles over the years. I probably would say this particular car is the one that I was the most nervous about, would probably be the right word to use, because it is truly that special. I just really can't say in words how much this vehicle means to me, and it means to racing history. It means to the people that were around this car from the beginning. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do as good of a job as I can educating you about what this car is, and then also what the car went through regarding its restoration, its quality, etc. So I'm going to read this. There's going to be times here, as I had mentioned, that are going to be maybe boring through the presentation, but my goal is to be as educational as possible. So let's first start off. This is the first thing I'm going to say in my opening paragraph here. You're now about to witness one of the rarest Shelby Mustangs ever built. This is clearly the most significant and influential vehicle ever offered from the MS Classic Cars collection. Please keep in mind that we have sold over 700 vehicles. They are spectacular vehicles that all can be seen on our website sold page. So for me to say that is a very, very big deal. Please invest the time in learning about this important piece of American automotive history and all the people surrounding it. I'd like to dedicate this listing to John and Vicki Mccomb. So let's first talk about the vehicle highlights. As I read the vehicle highlights, I am going to touch base after each one just to kind of add a little 2 cents. So first thing, one of the rarest Shelby Mustangs ever built. I don't really need to sell Shelby. I think most people understand who Carroll Shelby was, what Shelby vehicles are, and just how collectible they are and how many people are Shelby enthusiasts. For me to say this is one of the rarest Shelby Mustangs ever built is a fact. We have multiple articles written by multiple experts in the business who clearly say that in their articles. And some of those articles are printed in our photo gallery. Again, they're included. You can get on the internet, you can do your own research, but numbers don't lie. So let's talk about numbers. Second highlight, in 1965, a total of 562 Shelby GT350 models were built, including 33 competition production cars, which were referred to as the R model. So I want you to think about this for a second. 33 R models were built. In 1966, a total of 2,378 Shelby GT350 models were built, which included 20 production racers referred to as Shelby Group 1 and Group 2 Mustangs. These vehicles were built to R model specifications. This example that I'm sitting in right now is one of those 20. Think about that for a moment. This is an extremely rare car. It's one of only 16 Shelby Group 2 Mustangs built in 1966. I had just said that there was 20. There was 4 Group 1 vehicles, and there was 16 Group 2 vehicles. One of only 53 Shelby Group 2 Mustangs built between 1966 and 1969. This vehicle, as I mentioned in my opening statement, was originally built for famous Shelby American driver Ken Miles. This information is documented in the SAAC Shelby Registry, which is basically the 4th edition for 1965, 66, and 67. So on this page of this book, which I have a brand new book, these are very hard to come by. I got this from Pete Brock, which is a big name in the Shelby world. Ordered it brand new, it's unused. I actually have a signature here, which I'm going to touch base with on a minute, from John Mccomb. I'll get into that in a little while. He put number 12 because this is car number 12. Thanks for the memories. And let me tell you something, there's a lot of memories. So I'm going to flip to this page here, and all I'm going to do is just open up this Shelby Registry. This is basically the Bible for the Shelbys. It's an unbelievable book. And if I flip to the section that actually shows all of this information I'm flipping through is about these Group 2 Mustangs. If I get to the spot for car number 12, which is on our website, you can check it out yourself. I basically have everything laid out very, very nicely on the website. I had copies made from the Shelby Registry. Again, I'm just going to show it to you right here, and this is what it says. Car 12, originally built for Ken Miles, who was killed testing J-Car at Riverside before he could drive it. So it's right there. It's black and white. That's a really, really big deal. Now, let's touch base on some more of these highlights here. This particular car was purchased new and raced by legendary driver John Mccomb from 1966 to 1969. One of 7 Shelby Group 2 Mustangs that was raced in the Trans Am Series in 1966, which helped Ford claim the Trans Am Manufacturers Championship for 1966. So again, this particular vehicle was one of only 7 cars that actually raced. I'm going to get into more of the details in a minute regarding what the racing is all about, what the cars are all about, etc. It was a participant in over 30 documented races from 1966 to 1973 with 22 top 3 finishes. We have all of those races documented on our website. Again, check them out in the photo gallery page. I'm going to name just a few of these races here so you understand. It got first place at Pan America Trans Am in Green Valley, Texas in 1966. That's a really big deal. It got first place at the Continental Divide SCCA Nationals in 1966. Another big deal. It finished first in the SCCA Midwest Division both 1966 and 1967. It finished second in the SCCA A/Sedan Midwest in 1967. This vehicle participated in the Daytona 300 Trans Am and 24 Hours of Daytona in 1967. It was first place at SCCA National in Wichita, Kansas in 1968. It set an A/Sedan lap record and tied a production Corvette of Don Yanko for the second fastest lap ever run at Lake Afton. All this information I'm giving you today is directly out of the Shelby Registry. These are facts. To put this car in the category of an A production car that was a Don Yanko car that tied it is a huge deal. Again, this car has got so many accolades. Now we're talking about ownership history. It has very limited ownership history, especially considering the age of the car. This is a show quality concourse restoration to error-correct specifications by Legendary Motor Car in 2015 with only test miles since completion. It's powered by an error-correct Shelby-built 289 Hypo V8 engine with Hypo heads, aluminum high-rise intake, Holley 715 CFM carburetor, and modified valve covers with an error-correct Borg-Warner close ratio 4-speed and 9-inch Detroit locker rear end. It was signed by Carroll Shelby, which is on the glove box, John Mccomb, which is on the door panel, driver's side, and underneath the hood, and also Terry Doty. I'm sorry, Doty is how you pronounce it. John Mccomb made me say the name right, and I just want to correct myself. It's Terry Doty, not Dottie. He actually signed underneath the hood. Terry was the mechanic at the time that worked for Shelby on these cars and so forth. He was amazing from all the stories I've been told. And Chuck Cantwell also signed the backside of the hood as well. Chuck Cantwell worked directly for Shelby. He was the project manager for the GT350, another big name in the business. This car was featured on the cover and inside Sports Graphic magazine, which is the December 66 issue, which John Mccomb signed and is included in the sale. This is actually The magazine here, I went out and actually purchased this magazine. This is essentially a brand new copy from 1966. You can see this car on the cover of the magazine. That is a really, really big deal. Sports car graphic magazine is really, really well known. I put a post-it note here just to flip to the page, which we can see. John Mccomb actually signed the top of this here for me, and you can see the car right there as clear as day. Again, all of these pictures are within our photo gallery. The next thing I'd like to mention is this car was featured in Motor Trend World Automotive Yearbook for 1967, which again was signed by John Mccomb and included with the sale. So that yearbook is right here. This is actually a really beautiful book that I purchased online again. I'm just going to flip to the post-it here. And here's the signature by John. This is the same picture that I just showed you a minute ago. And here's John here inside the car. Another picture of him as well. Again, this is just history is what this is. This vehicle was also inside Sports Car Graphic June of '67 magazine, which again I had John Mccomb sign and included with the sale. That's actually this particular magazine right here. Again, this is in beautiful condition. I'll flip to the section where I have my post-it, and you will clearly see the car there again on this page. So again, all of this is included with the sale. Again, this car is fully documented in the SAAC Shelby Registry, which I just showed you. That book is included. Again, I did have John actually sign that book for me. And last but not least, we have this magazine here as well. This is the Cars of Trans Am. This is 1966 to 1972 racing. I bought this book online. Again, I have my post-it note here. And what I love about this particular opening statement here, if I remove this post-it, 1966, the birth of Trans Am. And lo and behold, what car do we have featured on this page? This particular car that I'm sitting in here today. It's right here. It has a nice little article about John Mccomb. John signed it. Again, you just can't make this stuff up. All of this information I found, had everything signed by John when he came here, which I'll get into in a minute, and all of that information is included. As we make our way down the list here, this vehicle has been verified by 1965 and 1966 Shelby Registrar Howard Party. A copy of the email from Howard Party will be included with the sale. So what happens with the Shelby group is you get these cars verified to make sure they are what they are. It's like having a car certified by any of the experts in the business. That's who you go to when you want to certify a Shelby. So we have that information which will be included with the sale. This car has also been verified by Shelby Trans Am Registrar Gary Underwood. He has been great. I've had lots of conversations with him. He's in charge strictly of the Trans Am cars and so forth. And again, he is mailing me a ton of information with the, about this car. Again, he verified this car and so forth. And basically all of that information will be included. John Mccomb and his wife, Vicky Mccomb, were reunited with this car after 25 years. We think it's about 25 or 30 years since he's actually seen it. We just did this yesterday. It was a really, really big deal for us to do it with him. So again, photos when he came here are all going to be included within our presentation, so make sure to check those out. All of those photos will be burned onto a thumb drive, which will be included with the car.
Oh, the stripes are there. Oh, boy.
I'm getting goosebumps. John Mccomb was interviewed by Toby Stinson of the Owl's Head Transportation Museum in June of 2022. A transcript of the interview, which was signed by John, will also be included with the sale. Miscellaneous books and articles will also be included with the sale. There's authentic John Mccomb racing stickers, which look just like this here. This is actually the sticker here that we have. We thought it would be a cool idea. I give credit to my service manager, Michael Marcella, for thinking of this. We're actually having these stickers reproduced, and we're going to have them magnetic on the backside. And then we figure when somebody wants to display the car, they can actually put the stickers on the car, which we thought would be a nice touch. So definitely wanted to mention that we're doing that. Also, John Mccomb donated many items surrounding his career in this car to the Owl's Head Transportation Museum, which can be viewed in person but are not included with the sale. Photocopies of everything that they have and everything that's on our website will be included. All the photocopies are in this binder here, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier, this vehicle was completely detailed. It was completely serviced. The invoice is included with the sale. So in regards to the pictures, again, you can really check all these pictures out on our website, but I just want to kind of fly through this here quickly. This is the verification from Howard Party in regards to the car. This is the schedule of all the races and so forth that were won in order, ones that were raced in and so forth. This is the actual transcript. And these are the pictures that I'm referencing that are on our website. This is all the information, license from John Mccomb, another license, and so forth. Some of these things are unseen. These were things that were provided by John that never really made themselves on the internet or what have you. So it's kind of a first peek, if you will. This is actually a picture of the car when he had first bought it, literally owned it just a few days, had it at his house, and he was getting ready to test it out and race it. And then we've got pictures at various races. Here's John here holding Sports Car Graphic magazine back in 1966. We've got pictures of John with his race suit and helmet, trophies that he's won over the years. Here's a really cool picture, my favorite picture of all. This is actually at the end of things. To John, congratulations from Carol Shelby. He signed it, picture of the car. What we did, which we thought was really special when John and Vicky came here, is we actually had shirts made. Toby Stinson actually did that were exactly the same shirts as what they were wearing back in this photo. We took a picture of them standing next to the car. They actually had the same photos on, shirt on all these years later. It looks absolutely spectacular. My favorite picture, you can definitely check that out in the photo gallery. There's some more pictures here of Vicky and John. There's Paul Newman. There's actually a really cool picture of Vicky and Paul Newman there. There's a letter to John from Paul Newman, which is pretty cool here. You can see that in our photo gallery. And then a bunch of articles that were more, newspaper clippings and so forth. What we also have included is what I had said earlier. I had really high quality copies made of all the information that was found inside the Shelby Registry. So you got all the information about what these cars are, their history, et cetera, et cetera. Then it goes into all the footnotes about each individual car. Again, more information that I pulled off the internet, just goes on and on and on. There's one article in particular here. This is from Car Guy Chronicles, and this is actually a really good article. It was a 3-part article that was done by Stephen Cox. Many people know Stephen Cox just for being an expert in the business, and I highlighted an area talking directly about this car. It was one of the rarest Shelbys built. So he said it. Again, I highlighted it. I mentioned that in the beginning of the video. So that kind of concludes all the information that I highlighted here, just to kind of go from the top to the bottom. What I would like to do now is I would like to actually read some additional information here, just a few paragraphs to really explain a few things so people clearly understand. And we back up now to what I had mentioned earlier about getting involved with the Trans Am series, what that meant and what the difference is clearly between this car and say a Shelby GT350. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I'm going to do now that I went over all the highlights is I am going to bring us back again to the beginning so I can really explain the history, if you will, of this entire deal. So I'm going to read this as I've written it on my website. I kind of composed a ton of information from tons of different resources into this little bit longer paragraph here, but it will clearly document the details of this whole entire deal. So in 1966, the Sports Car Club of America announced it would recognize sedans as a national championship category for the first time. Eligible cars fell under the provisions of the FIA Appendix J, Group 2, and classes based on engine displacements. The SCCA planned 2 concurrent racing series for these sedans, which included 1 amateur and 1 professional, each leading to a national championship. The amateur series included 50 SCCA sanctioned events throughout the United States, accumulating with an invitation to the American Road Race of Champions, ARRC, for the top 3 finishers in each class of each of the SCCA 6 geographical divisions. The professional series, called the Trans Am Sedan Championship, was made up of 7 professional races at road circuits across the United States. Points would be given to each manufacturers on their cars' finishing positions, leading to the manufacturer's trophy. While many of the same drivers participated in both the SCCA Nationals and the Trans Am that first year, it was the lure of the manufacturer's trophy that attracted Ford's interest. This is where things start to get interesting. Instead of doing anything in-house or going to a lesser-known race shop, they turned to Shelby American to develop the Mustang into a Group 2 sedan racer. On November 29, 1965, a meeting was held in Daytona following the AARC. Shelby American competition director Lou Spencer sat down with Ford's Sam Smith, Shelby American marketing director George Merwin, and Chuck Cantwell, Shelby G350 project engineer. The subject was FIA Group 1 and Group 2 sedans and how Shelby American would build them. It was decided that the cars would be purchased by Shelby American from Ford on a DSO basis and sold by Shelby. However, they would be considered Ford products and would carry Ford serial numbers. They would be reworked in a manner similar to the GT350 competition model. Cantwell's first job in December of 1965 was to assemble all the papers and everything to design the car. For required photographs, he took pictures of a stock white Mustang notchback sitting on a dealer's lot in downtown Los Angeles. The actual work of building the cars fell to Chuck Cantwell and race fabricators Jerry Swartz and Bernie Kessmeyer. The Group 2 sedan and GT350R models were mechanically identical. Let me rephrase this one. Let me say it again, okay? Very, very important. The Group 2 sedan and GT350R model were mechanically identical, but the rules require that the Group 2 car retain its steel stock hood without a scoop. It also had to retain the original glass windows, seats for 4, and a full interior upholstery, including dash padding and door panels. The front steel valance was allowed to be notched to permit airflow to the oil cooler, which was the size of a license plate on the notchback. A total of 16 Shelby Group 2 Mustangs were built in 1966, not including the prototype. Of those 16, only 12 are currently existing. Car number 5, number 7, and number 10 were destroyed during racing. Car 13's history and whereabouts is unknown. So as it clearly states there, this car, which again, all that information that I got, most of it was from the Shelby Registry. It's all documented factual information. So this car, in essence, is an R model. The only difference is they called it a Group 2 versus a GT350. It is truly that remarkable. So we took the original cars that I mentioned earlier, 33 in 1965, and really 20 cars in 1966. This is an extremely, extremely rare Shelby. Now, this Shelby, a Group 2 Mustang number 12, made its way to Legendary Motor Car, located in Halton Hills, Ontario in 2014 for a complete restoration. Legendary Motor Car is well respected in the Shelby community, and they're some of the finest restorage of vintage automobiles. This vehicle was carefully disassembled and stripped to bare metal. It received a no-expense rotisserie restoration. It was restored very accurately to Shelby correct specifications. This is an absolutely beautiful restoration. It is ready for judging purposes. If the new owner decides they want to take it to some sanctioned events, it would definitely compete. It is a very, very special car. So I'd like to also explain, before I go into the condition of the car, which won't take very long, I do kind of want to explain here the story of how John acquired the car. So John was friendly with Chuck Cantwell because they used to race together. John used to race MGs and so forth, and they had history together. So when John Mccomb heard that they were going to be producing these cars, obviously they were going to choose exactly who was going to get them. The list filled up very quickly. As I had mentioned earlier, this particular car was built for Ken Miles, and all the other cars were spoken for. So unfortunately, there was nothing for John to have. When Ken Miles had passed, John got a phone call from Chuck Cantwell, and he proposed John to buy this car. So, of course, John jumped on the opportunity, went to the dealership, picked up the car, brought it home. Again, we have photos showing the car shortly after he had gotten it in his driveway. And then it was almost immediately that he started racing the car, and the rest was history. So this car really, really has a great, great story. And the really good part about the story is everything is documented. That's one thing about the Shelby Registry, is they do a really good job documenting the story. So John ended up selling the car to a gentleman by the name of Keith Thomas, who actually, some of those races that I had mentioned earlier and that are on our website photo gallery page, you can see that huge list of over 30 races that it competed in. Some of those races were actually with Keith Thomas, and some of those races were with John Mccomb. But anyway, this car went on to do great things, as I had mentioned. And after it was, finished its racing in that 1973 time frame, the car kind of just disappeared in the sense that it really, let me just reference something here. I have a note that I just wanted to mention. Let's see. Bear with me one second. Okay, so it was purchased by Keith Thomas in 1967. He won a bunch of awards, etc. And then in 1973, after the Keith had stopped basically racing the car, Melvin Hammontree purchased it in 1973. It was then purchased by Max Anderson in 1978. It was then purchased by Gary Springens in 1986. Okay. Gary had the car completely restored early on when he had actually purchased it, and John Mccomb was friendly with Gary, and when Gary had done the restoration, it was done nicely, but it wasn't done to the level that you see here today. It was also nowhere near as correct as you see it here today. The signatures that you actually see on this car, underneath the hood, on the glove box, and on the door panel, were actually done back in the late 80s when Gary had owned the car. That's why I had said earlier in the video that John hadn't really seen the car. He figured it was 25 to 30 years ago. So the car actually stayed with Gary for like 26 years. And then Gary ended up basically selling the car. It was basically purchased by a gentleman in 2012 by the name of Rick Davis. Again, all this is documented in the Shelby Registry. It was just about a year later, from the information I've gathered, that Rick Davis actually sold the car in 2013. The car was actually purchased by Chris Turner of Dockery Ford. And Chris immediately sent the car to Legendary Motor Car, which really started in that 2014 timeframe. The restoration was completed, as I mentioned earlier, in 2015. And then since the restoration was completed, the vehicle has been basically kept on display, climate-controlled facility, etc. And then MS Classic Cars had the great privilege of buying this vehicle in 2022. I believe it was actually May of 22 when I actually purchased it, just a very short time ago. So once again, that is kind of the whole story of the car, its significance with its history and everything else. So let's real quickly kind of talk about the vehicle in itself. When you look at the body on this car, the body work is very, very, very nice. It's super, super straight. All the gaps are really good on the car throughout. The hood closes nicely, the doors close nicely, so does the actual deck lid. You will notice that the hood sits up higher in the back. That was actually for airflow for racing purposes. Obviously, it's got hood pins. It has a trunk pin in the back as well. All of the glass in the car has the car light stamps in it. The front windshield was replaced during the restoration. That's got the more newer car light stamp, but the vent glass, door glass, quarter glass, and rear glass is original, and it is stamped again with car light. When you look at all of this trim on this car, it's in absolutely beautiful condition. Of course, when you to mimic and make it as correct as possible for what it was, the bumpers were removed in the front and back, the headlights were covered, the fog lights were covered, etc. The paint on this car is absolutely beautiful. It was painted in its correct color of Wimbledon white with the Le Mans blue racing stripes. They did not intentionally color sand the car because they wanted that factory orange peel look. So if somebody went to have this car judged, they wouldn't knock it for having too nice of paint, if you will. They didn't want the clear to be so perfect because that's not the way it was back in 1966. So again, the numbers were actually painted on the car. Those numbers were done because that was toward John's end of his career, and that was in that picture with this particular car with his wife, Vicky. They actually wanted to use the numbers based on that picture. So they did number 41 here, which was painted on the hood, also painted on the trunk lid, and then the 41A was painted on the doors. There are restoration photos of this car that are pictured within our photo gallery. You can actually see the gentleman who was actually doing the hand painting of the numbers and everything, the letter. He did a really, really nice job with that. And then, of course, they had to select the correct magnesium 15x7 American Racing torque thrust style wheels in Firestone tires, which are very, very authentic. They look absolutely killer on this car. So they did a beautiful, beautiful job with this restoration. When you look at the interior of the vehicle here, this interior is brand spanking new. Of course, we have no headliner here, which was, again, error correct with this model. No sun visors, but we do have a rear view mirror, brand new dash pad. The whole fascia of the dash is all brand new. They used all the correct Carroll Shelby gauges, even the RPM gauge is tilted accurately and so forth. All the knobs are new. They do have the toggle switch in here for the horn and so forth. Again, Carroll Shelby signed the glove box door. It's got the correct 16-inch Shelby steering wheel. It's a nice, beautiful wood steering wheel here. Again, the door panels are brand new. All the seats are brand new. The carpeting was deleted. It's got this really nice 4-point roll cage in here. It does have the correct style seat belts and so forth, the racing harnesses. So it's just an absolutely beautiful interior. There is a fire extinguisher here that's kind of mounted in the center, and it also has the T-style shifter. But again, everything in this interior was done to a very high level. It's in beautiful condition. So making our way to the trunk compartment, I am going to reference some of my notes here because I'm going to lead into the engine bay and undercarriage here. The trunk compartment was correctly restored and painted body color. It's home to the auxiliary fuel pump original style reproduction battery, which is located in the corner with a power cutoff. That is not a battery, again, with a topper. That's a reproduction battery of the original, and a 34-gallon fuel tank. It's kind of a cool story how they actually did those fuel tanks. They cut the original ones in half and actually made a much bigger one. So that's a 34-gallon fuel tank, and it has a 3.25-quarter release cap with splash funnel. The engine compartment is highly detailed with many correct parts without the back side of the hood. Again, was signed by John Mccomb, Chuck Cantwell, and Terry Doty. The driver's side inner fender does have the original Ford VIN stamp. The firewall, inner fenders, and radiator support were painted in the correct shade of black. Everything was restored or replaced, such as the hinges, the brake master cylinder, wiring, hoses, alternator coil. You'll see stamps on the alternator, you'll see stickers on the coil, things of that nature. Even the breather caps have the correct stickers on them and everything else. Again, it was tried to be done as correct as possible. It's equipped with a export brace and Monte Carlo stabilizer bars. It should. The car's powered by an error-correct Shelby American Racing 289 Hypo V8 with an estimated 350 to 400 horsepower. The engine was completely rebuilt, runs excellent. The casting date of the engine is C5AE-6015-E with a build date of October 14th, 1964. So it is a error-correct engine for this car. A lot of times you get these Shelbys and guys are putting in 302s and this, that, and the other, but this was a really well thought out deal here. Again, it's been outfitted with the correct hypo heads, the aluminum high-rise intake manifold, which is number S2MS-9424-A, a Holley 715 CFM carburetor, again, number S2MS-3510-A. It's got the steel valve covers with specially fabricated breathers and the 7.5-quart Cobra finned oil pan. That's an aluminum oil pan. It's equipped with a heavy-duty engine cooler with remote Cobra oil filler adapter and 18-quart Ford Galaxy radiator. So again, that radiator, that was a heavy-duty radiator, heavy-duty oil cooler. You'll see that in all of our photos that you don't normally see with these Mustangs. That was all stuff that was done at Shelby to bring these cars up to the competition level. The engine breezed through the tri-Y headers, leading to the 2.5-inch straight exhaust that is right ahead of the rear tires. The engine is coupled to an error-correct Borg-Warner T10 close ratio 4-speed transmission. The transmission was completely rebuilt, and that has a build date of July 27th, 1965. So once again, that was built in the era of what this car is, so everything is kind of date-coded, if it makes any sense. The power was transferred to the Ford 9-inch Detroit locker rear end with the 389 gears. When we make our way to the undercarriage is absolutely spectacular. Again, mirror quality, everything was done as correct as possible, so it's definitely a beautiful deal. For anybody who doesn't understand why it's red underneath, that red oxide paint was factory correct. That was a primer that they put on these cars. When you see the white that's actually fogged into that, that would be the overspray when the car was being painted on the outside. So if the car was blue as an example, you'd see blue overspray. White car, you'd see white overspray. You'll see a lot of chalk marks, factory stickers, tags, all that kind of stuff was done as well. Everything underneath this car was restored, including the steering system, suspension system, and braking system. It's equipped with a 9.1 quick steering box. It's got the 1-inch sway bar. It's got the override traction bars, the Coney shocks, It's got the 11.3 front disc brakes and the 10 by 2.5 wide rear drum brakes. So now you can understand why I had to reference my notes on this car. So much information to go over. We do in our photo gallery have a list of all of the things that were done to these cars to make them competition models. If you go down that checklist of all the things that Shelby did, every one of those things was done to this particular car during the restoration. So again, they did a great job with that. So I would like to end this video here before I go ahead and start the car and let you listen to how beautiful it runs. There's a car that recently sold. This was at Mccomb. If you want to reference it, it was actually Kissimmee, Florida, 2022, January 6th through the 16th. They had a 65 Shelby GT350R prototype. Just like they had a prototype version of the Group 2 Mustang, they had a prototype. This particular car was Ken Miles' car. Again, this was a really big deal. This particular car sold for $3,750,000. So we will make sure to put a picture of this in our photo gallery. You can Google it online. So it's kind of interesting that was 1965. This car being not a prototype, the prototype car was actually a blue car, but being that this car was built for him, and unfortunately he didn't get a chance to drive it, you can kind of see where this would have been the next vehicle, and it would have been really interesting. So this is a very rare car. It's a super special car. It has a great racing history. It's a beautiful restoration. I don't know if I've ever been more proud to have something in the MS Classic Cars collection as I am this car. So that concludes this video here. Again, I apologize if this video was long, boring at times, but once again, I did it for educational purposes. I am not an expert in any vehicle. I learn as I go. I try to be as factual as possible, and I really feel like we covered a lot in this video. So again, msclassiccars.com, read the full description, check out all the information that we provided, call me with any questions. I would ask, if you have not signed up yet for our VIP email blast, please do so. We have thousands of people who follow us. It's the best way to follow what we're doing at the dealership. If you have not followed us on social media, I would ask that you would do that as well. We're on all the social media platforms. Again, I'll say it over and over that MS Classic Cars is definitely not the biggest dealer. We're not a high volume dealer, but we are definitely different than everybody else. We're doing great things here, so we really appreciate the interest, and we look forward to having you as a customer one day. So again, that concludes this video. The last person to actually start this car was John Mccomb. John, again, he just came in here yesterday. The car was ice cold. It was kind of an emotional moment for us. He sat inside the car, took a minute to himself. I think he felt like he was back on the racetrack, and the car was, again, it was ice cold. He turned the key. Within 2 seconds, the car fired up. It ran absolutely beautiful. He gave it some good revs, shut it off, and it was a really emotional experience for him and for the entire team at MS Classic Cars. We had everybody here. It was just a special day yesterday.
Can you imagine?
Sounds good, huh?
Well, think of this thing when, oh well.
That definitely has.
That'll put goosebumps.
It's definitely gotta have some compression.
Crazy.
It's definitely not a stock.
Let me tell you, Bud Moore had a ultra fast dyno, and he was getting 415 horsepower out of these things. And I called Chuck and I said, I want one of those engines that is 415 horsepower. And Chuck said, I'll write any number on that dyno sheet you want. It's gonna be 393, and that's what it was. This thing, does it have a little more than that? It feels like it.
Sounds like it's got higher compression.
Real high.
Our way up to 13.
I don't know, it sounds like it though. The pipes
does.
pop, 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 pop. You can feel it. You can feel it on your pants.
Isn't it great? The Ford guy, where are we? You never forget how to start one. I was afraid I'd screw it up, but anyway.
Let's do it one more time. One more time, okay? One more time.
And what are we gonna do now?
We're just gonna let it idle for a minute and let you.
Beautiful.
Oh, like music.
How do we? Oh, is that not right?
Yes.
And Charlie Rainville, who became a great pal, was the head driver for Chrysler. And he came up to me before the race and he said, "John, you're younger than I and you're fast." And he said, "When we get going, just so we don't mess it up." This guy, Bob Tulius, and I were on the pole at the Riverside Championships. And so the day he died, when we met, one of or the other would say, "You take the inside." This inside was the quick layer. Just stop it and turn it and go for it. This had already been.
Oh, he had already, okay.
And he had a Dodge contract and a British Leyland contract. And we'd actually met as he was driving Triumphs and I was driving MG. So we met in '65, but he's godfather to our second son. And I drove for him for 7 years.
Where does number 12 come into this?
The chassis was the 12th one they built.
Perfect. So, thank you. This car has not run since John started it, so I'm going to go ahead and start it now. Let you listen to how beautiful it runs. And again, this is an ice cold start. I just want to show everybody how well of a job my guys do in service and MS Classic Cars, getting these vehicles dialed in mechanically so the new owners can enjoy them. So I'm going to go ahead and pump the gas pedal a few times, turn the key, and let you listen to how beautiful she runs. Can't make that up. Runs absolutely beautiful. Thank you for watching. Rock and roll.